On December 6, 1991, Austin, Texas, was rocked by a crime so heinous it continues to haunt the city to this day. Inside a small shop called I Can't Believe It's Yogurt. Four teenage girls, Jennifer Harbison, Sarah Harbison, Eliza Thomas, and Amy Ayers were bound, gagged, and shot execution style. The killers then set the store ablaze, leaving behind a scene of unimaginable horror that would sear itself into the collective memory of Austin's resistance. As night fell on that fateful Friday, 17-year-old Jennifer Harbison and her 15-year-old sister Sarah were closing up the yogurt shop where Jennifer worked. Their friends, 17-year-old Eliza Thomas and 13-year-old Amy Ayers, had stopped by to keep them company. What should have been a routine end to a workday turned into a nightmare that would span decades. The discovery of the crime scene sent shockwaves through the community. Firefighters responding to reports of smoke at the strip mall made the grisly discovery. The bodies of the four girls were found huddled together in the back of the shop, each bearing the marks of a brutal execution. The fire, set by the perpetrators in an attempt to destroy evidence, had only partially burned, preserving much of the horrific tableau for investigators. As dawn broke on December 7th, the quiet Austin neighborhood found itself at the center of a massive police investigation. Detectives swarmed the area, interviewing witnesses and collecting what little evidence remained after the fire. The community, once known for its safety and tight-knit feel, was suddenly thrust into a spotlight of fear and suspicion. The brutality of the crime stunned even seasoned law enforcement officials. The girls had been bound with their own clothing, gagged to silence their screams, and shot at close range. The level of violence suggested a crime of rage, yet the methodical nature of the execution pointed to a calculated act. This contradiction would prove to be just one of many puzzles that would confound investigators for years to come. As news of the murders spread, a pall of fear settled over Austin. Parents kept their children close. Businesses installed new security measures, and a once trusting community began to look at strangers with wary eyes. The yogurt shop murders, as they came to be known, had shattered the city's sense of innocence. The investigation moved swiftly at first. Police questioned dozens of suspects, following up on hundreds of tips that poured in from a shocked and outraged public. Within weeks, several arrests were made, offering a glimmer of hope that justice would be swift. However, this hope was short-lived. The case against the initial suspects quickly unraveled. Lack of physical evidence and inconsistencies in testimonies led to the release of those first arrested. As months turned into years, a revolving door of suspects were brought in for questioning, only to be released for lack of concrete evidence. In 1999, 8 years after the murders, a breakthrough seemed to come when 4 men were arrested and charged with the crimes. 2 of them, Robert Springsteen and Michael Scott, were even convicted and sentenced to death. For a moment, it appeared that the long nightmare might finally be over. But the justice system had other plans. In 2006 and 2007, the convictions of Springsteen and Scott were overturned on appeal. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals ruled that their confessions had been improperly used against each other, violating their Sixth Amendment rights. Once again, the case was back to square one, and the families of Jennifer, Sarah, Eliza, and Amy were left without closure. The reversals were a crushing blow to the investigators who had worked tirelessly on the case for years. It also reignited public interest and scrutiny. How could a crime so brutal, with 4 victims and presumably multiple perpetrators, leave behind so little conclusive evidence? The question plagued detectives and armchair sleuths alike. As technology advanced, investigators turned to new forensic techniques in hopes of uncovering missed clues. DNA testing, which was in infancy at the time of the murders, was applied to evidence from the crime scene. While these tests yielded some new information, they also raised more questions than answers. Male DNA found on the victims did not match any of the previously suspected individuals, adding another layer of mystery to the already complex case. The years rolled on, and the yogurt shop murders became more than just an unsolved crime. They became a part of Austin's dark lore. Each anniversary brought renewed media attention. fresh pleas from the victims' families, and promises from law enforcement that the case would never be forgotten. But as leads dried up and witnesses' memories faded, the prospect of solving the murders seemed to grow more distant with each passing year. The impact of the crime extended far beyond the immediate victims and their families. It changed the way an entire generation of Austinites viewed their city. Parents who had once allowed their children to roam freely now insisted on constant check-ins and curfews. The yogurt shop itself, once a popular hangout for local teens, stood empty for years, a grim reminder of the tragedy that had occurred within its walls. As the 30th anniversary of the murders approached in 2021, it seemed that the case might remain forever in limbo, too important to forget, yet too cold to solve. But in a twist that no one saw coming, 2024 brought a glimmer of hope to the long-dormant investigation. New tips, spurred by a renewed public interest in cold cases, began to trickle into the Austin Police Department. While many of these leads proved to be dead ends, a few contained information that investigators found intriguing. At the same time, advances in forensic science allowed for a fresh review of the physical evidence that had been carefully preserved for over 3 decades. The combination of new information and cutting-edge technology has reignited hope among investigators and the victims' families alike. While details of the new leads remain closely guarded to protect the integrity of the investigation, the mere fact that progress is being made has breathed new life into a case many had given up for lost. Yet, despite these recent developments, the yogurt shop murders remain unsolved. The questions that have haunted Austin for over 3 decades still linger. Who could commit such a horrific act? Why were these 4 young girls targeted? And perhaps most pressingly, will justice ever be served? As the investigation continues, the memory of Jennifer, Sarah, Eliza, and Amy lives on. Their names are spoken with reverence in Austin, their stories a somber reminder of lives cut tragically short. The yogurt shop where they spent their final moments may be long gone, replaced by new businesses in a city that has grown and changed dramatically since 1991. But the impact of that night remains, a wound in the city's psyche that has never fully healed. The yogurt shop murders stand as a chilling reminder that even in the most ordinary of places, a small ice cream parlor on a quiet Friday night, unspeakable evil can lurk. It's a case that continues to captivate, horrify a mystery that begs to be solved, not just for the sake of justice, but for the peace of a community that has lived too long under the shadow of an unthinkable crime. As Austin continues to grow and evolve, the memory of 4 young lives lost on that December night remains a constant. It's a stark reminder that behind the city's vibrant facade, a dark chapter of its history remains unresolved. The yogurt shop murders are more than just an unsolved crime. They are a testament to the enduring impact of violence, the resilience of a community, and the unwavering hope for justice, no matter how long it takes.